بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين لله تبارك وتعالى. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to continue in our reading of the book A Blessed Valley, and we're in the house of Al-Haddad on page 199, the second paragraph. And we're reading about the biography of Sayyidina al-Imam Abdullah bin Alawi al-Haddad. Let's recite al-Fatiha to his soul. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, said, a Baluchi man from Alaya in the Dank province in inland Oman, called Sultan Sulayman al-Baluchi, recounted that he was used to traveling to the Yemen, and when he heard about Imam al-Haddad, rahimahullah, and his karamat, decided to visit him in Turin.
So we said the karamat is those extraordinary matters that appear on the hands of a wali of Allah, a pious, righteous servant of Allah, that stand as a testament to the truthfulness of his piety. Now,
he took with him gifts of three different kinds of stoneless dates pressed and mixed with sesame seeds, and 30 packages of sweets, and set out for the Yemen. In one of the ports, he met another Ibadi man from his area and took him along with him. They arrived at El Hawi and asked permission to enter. Excuse me, one moment. And asked for permission to enter the presence of the Imam. Permission was granted. They entered the room and were astonished to hear the Imam say, "Welcome, Sultan ibn Sulaiman al-Baluchi, who hails from Alaya in the Dank province." And then he welcomed the other man using his name, his father's, the tribes, and his hometown. Later on, when they wished to leave the room, the Imam said, "O Sultan, bring your gifts of dates so that these Sayyids may eat from it." And then he proceeded to describe the three kinds of dates and the 30 packages of sweets. The result of these meetings was that the two men became convinced that whatever the creed of the Imam, it had to be the correct creed. Otherwise, Allah Ta'ala would never have given him such powers of unveiling. So they therefore abandoned their Ibadi creed for that of Ahl Sunnah.
MashaAllah.
Another Omani who was influenced
by the Sunnah, as I mentioned, and I want to define this, and someone reminded me this yesterday. I'm not going to change. So those who wish to come on our platform and think that we are agreed with you, you're mistaken. I'm not going to change. Not because of me. This is what we received through our unbroken chains of narration back to Imam al-Haddad. We're not going to change it. Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Asharis and the Maturidis. The creed of Imam al-Haddad was the creed of the Asharis. So can we put it? Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Asharis and the Maturidis. We're not changing that. I know some people, they come along and they're telling you something else. We're not changing that. Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Asharis and the Maturidis. I need that to be abundantly clear. Is that clear for everyone? Is everyone clear? Because we know, as we experienced, some people are adding things that we're not saying and we don't accept at all. So if you're with someone who's talking about they're with the 3453 family, or they're a student of Amin Muhammad, or and they're talking other than that, don't believe them. They are adding. They may be right in some areas, they may be following in some areas. In this area, if they change that, no, we don't accept. I want to be abundantly, explicitly clear in this issue. Ahl sunnati wal jama'a al ashaira wal maturidiyya. Period. Full stop. Now, if you need extra details beyond that, that's the rule. Now, let's give you some exceptions. That's the rule. Don't change the rule because of exceptions. The rule is this. Al-Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Asharis and the Maturidis. Now, every rule, normally rules have exceptions, right? There are details. The detail is whoever has that creed of the Asharis and the Maturidis in the foundations of the creed, they are counted among them even if they don't use their name. Is that point clear? Whoever has the foundational creed of the Asharis and the Maturidis, even if they don't use that name, they are counted among them. Is that clear? I don't want it to be mixed up. This is very important, especially when I know there are people that affiliate with us and try to say other. We don't accept. So if they try to use that exception to make it the rule, correct them. Say we don't accept. Other than them, meaning those who have the same creed, is an exception, not a rule. Because by the fact that they may have the same creed, it's also indicating that other things may exist that we may not accept. That's why they say Al-Sunnati wal Jama'ah are Al-Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya, because we know their creed, right? We know their creed. We know their creed in practice and belief, in foundations and details. That's documented for the Asharis and the Maturidis. For other than them, there is the possibility of correct things and the possibility of wrong things. So we don't make that the rule. I hope I was very explicitly clear. Please spread that. This is our position. If someone else has a different position, mashallah, you have a different position. We don't accept at all. If someone has a different position, that's fine for them. We don't accept. And when I say we, this is the likes of Imam al-Haddad, Muhammad Murtada al-Zabidi, Ulama al-Azhar. And why do I say this? I'm going to pause here for a second because this needs to be clarified. This was happening to Azhar. Al-Azhar in Egypt has a foundational way, which is clear in their books and in their curriculum. What happens, others are mixing with them. Others are mixing with them. When the others mix with them, they come under the clothes of Azhar, but they spread other ideas that Azhar itself, Al-Azhar, did not accept. And after a time, those ideas are passed off as Azhari ideas. So now you have people who claim to be Azhar, look Azhar, graduated from Azhar, so they're Azhari in their graduation, but they have not the creed of the Azhars. They don't have the creed of the Azhar. But when they go, the people see them and think they're Azhari because they look like they're Azhari. They graduated from the Azhar. They had teachers in Azhar, but they are not Azhari. Do y'all understand that? Because truly, Al Azhar is a methodology, not just a university. I want you to understand it. Truly, Al Azhar is a methodology, not just a university. So if you graduate from the university without the methodology, you're not Azhari, even if you're Azhari. So we don't want that to happen with Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So we just need to be clear. Go ahead, continue, inshallah.
Another Omani who was influenced by the Imam was Sheikh Ali ibn Ibrahim ibn Sulaytan, a great knower by Allah Ta'ala, rahimahullah, whose visit the Imam recommended to those who wrote to him from Suhar, a coastal town north of Muscat, saying, "You must visit Sheikh Ali ibn Sulaytan, rahimahullah." The day this Sheikh died in Suhar, the Imam, according to his son, Habib Zain al-Abidin, rahimahullah, informed his companions, "Today, one of the Abdal has died in Oman." Then
And in another book of Imam al-Haddad, I'll put it up. I didn't bring it. I'll put it up maybe tomorrow and we can look at it. He talks about the different levels of the awliya. Among the awliya are al-abdal. That's a rank among the awliya of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala.
Then he called for the funeral prayer and led his companions in praying for the dead saint. A strange story, considering how the Alawis always take their path exclusively from Alawi masters, although they are permitted, even encouraged, to seek the barakah of all Allah Ta'ala's saints, is that of Sayyid Abdullah ibn Ahmed al-Idarus, rahimahullah, who used to live in Surat in India and traveled to Hydramaut to visit Imam al-Haddad, rahimahullah, to request him to give him the path and the ilbas.
So here, the other thing, the Alawi way is continuous from the Thani of Beni Alawi in their taking of knowledge. However, they do take other knowledge in other ways by way of barakah, not by way of surrendering and following another way. So they would have more than one spiritual path. Their main path is their Ba'alawi path, but other paths they would take for the blessing of the path.
He was indeed given to Ilbas, but was surprised to hear the Imam telling him to go to Basra, for the lock of his heart would only be opened by Sheikh Jum'a ibn Yaqub ibn Jum'a, who had taken from Sheikh Badr ad-Din. Rahimahullah. "He is your master," said the Imam, "and when you reach him, ask him to give you his daughter in marriage, and we shall write to him on your behalf." Sayyid Abdullah al-Idarus, rahimahullah, wept, saying, "I wished it from you." He answered him, "You have received the ilbas and the barakah, but you must go to him." Sayyid Abdullah al-Idarus, rahimahullah, complied, but put on the clothes of a wandering dervish and left for Iraq. He found the sheikh in Basra, told him what the imam had said, and was immediately tested for a long time by being ordered to clean rubbish heaps and other filthy places while standing for hours in the burning sun. Eventually, his ego died, and only at that point did the sheikh give him the handshake that made him his deputy and sent him to Baghdad. There he settled, and behaving according to the instructions of the sheikh, soon became well known. Disciples flocked to him, for not only was he a Sufi master, but also an accomplished scholar and jurist, and there appeared at his hands numerous karamat. He died in Baghdad, and a mausoleum was built over his grave. This and similar stories from Medina, Egypt, East Africa, and elsewhere clearly show that the exclusivity of the Alawis is by no means absolute, and the exceptions are numerous.
And here I seen this happen in our time. A person wanted to take the spiritual path of the Alawi uh, Tariqa, and he wanted to go to a specific sheikh, but that sheikh would not give him the Tariqa, the spiritual path. And he was confused about that because a lot of people went to that particular sheikh for that. It was very interesting. And he got other things from that sheikh, teach him ijaza and knowledge, all of that, but he wouldn't give him the spiritual path. Then he met another sheikh from the family of Ba'alawi, but not from the family of that sheikh, another family. And when he met that sheikh said, "We know you, we've been waiting for you, and you belong to us," and gave him the spiritual path through that route, right? When he went to that, like a karama almost, like he went to that sheikh, and that sheikh said, "We've been waiting for you, you belong to us," and gave him the spiritual path. But and what the lesson about that story and about similar stories like this one is, remember when I told you, don't look, Allah will send to you. You just do the work, but Allah will send you your guide. This is an example of that. And that story I just told you about for that person that I actually know of, uh, it happens like that, right? And one of our teachers said, every master has his students. Everyone, they have their people, right? So you will be with those who you belong with. Just do your part. And that's how it works. And even some of them, their sheikh is in the barzakh, not in this world. Their sheikh is from the intermediate world. And the people in this world are just representatives of their sheikh. So their connection in this world is a connection to their sheikh in the barzakh, in the intermediate world. The point, stop looking for something and let Allah guide you to it. That's the point. Go ahead. Because that's how many people get their hearts broken. You know, they're looking and their desires is usually the thing that's searching. And then when that person who is really not their spiritual guide, they force themselves on such a person. And when that person lets them down, they blame the whole thing on the path. No, it's really you following your desires. Be patient, keep working. Allah will send you the one who's meant to guide you. Trust in that. Mm. But make yourself available by doing your part. So I don't say don't do anything. Make yourself available. Attend the majalis, attend the sessions of the knowledge. Even for the barakah you may take, but your actual spiritual guide will come in its time. Mm.
Habib Hussein, son of Imam al Haddad, rahimahullah, once had a horse which turned out to be vicious and aggressive, not only toward other horses but also toward people. One day the horse broke loose from its groom and ran wild in El Hawi, spreading terror among the people. It so happened that at that particular time the Imam was setting out from El Hawi for his mosque, of Al Awabin in the Nuwaydira district of Turin, for it was his custom to hold a teaching session there on the last Tuesday of each month. He walked among his disciples, and his horse was being led by the bridle. Habib Hussein had gone ahead of his father to the mosque and was unaware of what was happening. When those surrounding the Imam saw the horse, they ran away, leaving him alone in the middle of the road. To everyone's surprise, when the galloping wild horse came near him, he stopped short and lowered his head to the ground, and then, as the Imam started walking again toward the city, ambled calmly behind him. A
Inshallah, this reminded me we have work that we do that we should be doing every last Tuesday that we've not been doing. So thanks for the reading and a reminder of this example that Imam al Haddad did on the last Tuesday of each month. We used to do it, but la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We fell off. May Allah restore it. Thanks for the reminder. Mm.
A scholar named Mullah Uthman ibn Sultan al-Basri of Iraqi origin was of Iraqi origin, but who lived in Oman, said that he used to suffer from a recurrent eye ailment, and that one time the illness was particularly severe, and at a loss for what to do, he called upon Imam al-Haddad rahimahullah to help and recited some verses he remembered from his diwan, and then went to sleep. He said, I saw in a dream vision that I was in
Read
a
that again from the beginning. Bismillah, please.
A scholar named Mullah Uthman ibn Sultan al-Basri of Iraqi origin but who lived in Oman said that he used to suffer from a recurrent eye ailment and that one time the illness was particularly severe and at a loss for what to do he called upon Imam al-Haddad rahimahullah to help.
Yeah, he called on Imam al Haddad. That shows you the connection of the awliya. Imam Haddad wasn't present. That's called al istighatha, meaning he sought the help of Sayyidina Imam Haddad by the permission of Allah Ta'ala, even if he doesn't add that point by the permission of Allah Ta'ala. It's known. So if he says, Ya Haddad, oh Haddad, right? Help me. He understands when he says that Imam al-Haddad, or any of the awliya for that matter, they help by the permission of Allah. That's understood. It doesn't need to be stated. So it's understood. They are Sunni. They are Ash'ari. They have the sound creed. They know that the one who causes harm and benefit is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me give you something to make it clear, because someone asked me about this the other day. And this is a point of difference between Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Al Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya, and Al Wahhabiyya. So I should make it clear. It's called Al Istighatha. Al Istighatha is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by way of calling on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or the pious. But you don't use the expression that says by Allah. You just call. Like he said, he called on Imam al-Haddad. He called upon him. So he'll just say, Ya Haddad, for instance, help me. Or Ya Rasulullah, help me. Or Ya Abdul Qadir Jilani, help me. Ya Ahmad al-Rifai, example, right? Ya Hussein, whoever among the pious. So he's calling directly his conviction as a belief. He knows that that ability of those awliya or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to assist him is by the permission of Allah. He knows that, right? That's understood. He knows. That's not a question. So he doesn't believe when he says, "Oh, Imam al-Haddad, help me." He doesn't believe that Imam al-Haddad, independently of Allah, has the ability to harm or benefit. In this case, it's benefit, right? Do y'all follow? Is this clear? I want you to understand the concept. Then we could go into details later. So when he says, "Oh, Imam Haddad, help me," he understands that the help is from Allah by way of Imam al-Haddad. Is this understood? Is it clear for everyone? All right, let me make it even more clear since that part is clear, just for extra added benefit. I'm going to show you the same concept. Then you'll understand it even clearly. Okay. What is the same concept? Everyone understands. Good. All right. Let me all right. Give me a second. All right. Now, you do it all the time. So now let me make you understand. You do it all the time. When you get sick, you go to the doctor seeking the doctor to cure your sickness through the medicine, right? Do you say every time you go to the doctor, "Oh Allah, I am sick. Can you heal me by this medicine?" Do you do that? Be honest. I know you super pious people may do it, but I don't believe it. You could tell me that. You just take the medicine, right or wrong, with the belief that this medicine is going to cure you. Does the medicine cure you, or you already know that the medicine can only cure you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission? Which one? You already know that in your heart. So when you take the medicine and you say, "This, I got a cold, let me take this medicine," you don't believe that the medicine independently of Allah will help you. You don't believe that. You know the cure is from Allah. The medicine is a means. You don't have to say that. You know it already. Right? When you eat, you don't believe that the food itself, independently of Allah, is going to remove your hunger. It is Allah who puts the benefit in the food that allows your hunger to be removed. If Allah does not put that aspect in the food, you can eat as much as you want and you're still going to be hungry. You already know this stuff, right? So you don't eat, and every time you eat, ask Allah, "Oh Allah, please remove my hunger through this food." It's known. Because if you believed that the food or the medicine independently has benefit, that's kufr. Do you understand? But you don't have to say it. It's well known. If you understand that concept, you'll understand easily al-istighatha. Now it should be easy to understand. So here, because you'll read from those Wahhabiyya, and I mention it for that because this is a difference. They'll say this is shirk al akbar, and we're worshiping Imam Haddad, which is nonsense, right? But because they don't understand Aqidah in the first place, that's why to them that seems like worship. They don't understand Aqidah in the first place, right? So al-istighatha is when what he just did. He said he called upon Imam al-Haddad. He made istighatha. At-tawassul is different from istighatha. At-tawassul, you're going to ask Allah by the status of someone. You're not calling necessarily directly to that person. Both can be combined. They are not exactly the same. Do y'all follow? So at tawassul is, oh Allah, I ask you by the status of so-and-so. You don't have to call so-and-so. There's two different things. One is calling, seeking directly. One is using something, the person, as a means. It's two different things. Though they seem similar, but they're not. In any case, both of them are valid according to Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, meaning al-Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya. Now, so since it's mentioned here, you'll see, and this is Imam al-Haddad, all of these things that in our time, those Wahhabi people are considering shirk, remember that's applying to all these great Imams. It's not just to you, so don't take it personal. Someone said, oh, they are worshiping saints. They thought Imam Haddad worshipped saints. Imam An-Nawawi worshipped saints. They visit their grave worshippers. These people are ridiculous. Like the truth right in front of your face, right? And they'll find out, it's just like Allah put a veil over their eyes. Like amazing. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. When you know better, you should do better. Subhanallah. All right, so go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
And recited some verses he remembered from his diwan, and then went to sleep.
So the diwan, I'm going to bring a bunch of them for you. Let me show you. The diwan of Imam al-Haddad, I don't go nowhere without the diwan of Imam al-Haddad. So I said, I'm going to bring some for y'all, inshallah. It's going to take me a while because I have to get them. This is a book of poetry of Imam al-Haddad. It's full of all of these things we're talking about, right? And our teachers, they told us, in the diwan of Imam al-Haddad is everything you need. Al-Quran, tafsir, as-sunnah, commentary on this, tasawwuf, aqidah, fiqh, everything you need is in the diwan. And our teacher said, you should have a constant reading of the diwan of Imam al-Haddad. It is a means by which needs are fulfilled, right? And as you can see, right there, excuse me, let me move my hand this way. So it should be this side. Right here, this is the Diwan of Imam al-Haddad. You see something he puts there? وَكُنْ أَشْعَرِيًّا فِي اعْتِقَادِكَ, and be Ash'ari in your creed. Subhanallah, look at it. I want it very close. You see that line? وَكُنْ أَشْعَرِيًّا فِي اعْتِقَادِكَ, and be Ash'ari in your creed. That's Imam al-Haddad, right? But any need you have, you read this book and ask Allah by the status of Imam al-Haddad instantly. If your connection is strong, instantly. So our teachers always encouraged us to read the Diwan of Imam al-Haddad. Right? So he said, and recited some verses he remembered from his Diwan. There is a beautiful, hold on one second. Here, there's a line here in relation to what we're talking about. And to probably the line he might have read. This line. Remember, he said some verses, most likely, for this, what he was talking about. These are the verses. Here, most likely. These verses right here. All right, let me not shake. All right, there you go. حاجة في النفس يا رب فاقضيها يا خير قاضي. حاجة في النفس يا رب فاقضيها يا خير قاضي. حاجة في النفس يا رب فاقضيها يا خير قاضي, which means a need I have within me, O my Lord. Fulfill it, O best of fulfillers. That line, whenever you have a need, Allah is the one who fulfill it. So that line is repeated and repeated, right? There is a benefit there. So all of this is practical all the way down to our day, right? Now, and there are other verses, lines in there, but all of this, what we're reading, to this day, we still do it, right? Right? One of my teachers, he was telling me that line, حاجة في النفس يا رب فَقْدِيهَا يَا قَيْرُ قَادِي. He said to me, he said, Amin, do you know what the hajatin is there? The haja? And I said, I don't know. He said, the Ridwanullah, the acceptance of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Other scholars mention, depending what they benefited, different meanings, but that's what my teacher told me. The ultimate need you have that you want Allah to fulfill is the Ridwan of Allah, that Allah accepts from you. If you got that, all your needs are fulfilled. And to get that, every morning and night you say, Raditu billahi rabba wa bil islami dina wa bi sayyidina Muhammadan nabiyyan wa rasula. If you constantly are pleased and accept Allah as your Lord, Islam as your deen, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as your prophet and messenger, Allah will accept from you, and you will ultimately get the Ridwan of Allah, and your haja, your need will be fulfilled. Yeah. There's a benefit. May Allah allow us to benefit. So the Diwan of Imam al-Haddad, mashallah, it is a companion that you should have. Go ahead.
He said,
So I'm sorry, just read the line from the beginning. I know I took that
a,
somewhere else.
a scholar named, from the beginning right here,
Yeah, a scholar named, yeah.
a scholar named Mullah Uthman ibn Sultan al-Bashri, of Iraqi origin but who lived in Oman, said that he used to suffer from a recurrent eye ailment and that one time the illness was particularly severe, and at a loss for what to do, he called upon Imam al-Haddad rahimahullah to help and recited some verses he remembered from his diwan and then went to sleep. He said, I saw in a dream vision that I was in a mosque in Suhar, and there were 2 rows of men standing there. Then came a venerable man with a countenance of light, holding a sword. He pointed to a man, saying, Do not return to Mullah Uthman, for if you do, I will strike you with this sword. The man said, I shall not return. So I said to the people there, Who is this man with the sword? And who is the other one he is threatening with it? They answered, This is our master, the Pole Abdullah al Haddad, rahimahullah, and that is the eye sickness. I,
Allah,
I woke up with the certainty of relief in my heart. Allah Ta'ala cured me, and the illness never returned again.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And this is the awliya when you have these connections. Subhanallah. May Allah benefit us from the awliya of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Subhanallah. Imam al-Nawawi mentioned in his al-Adhkar, and Imam al-Bukhari mentioned in his book Al-Adab al-Mufrad, that one time Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the son of Umar, the great companion of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the one who those chains of narrations of the Maliki madhab go through him in al-fiqh. He had a numb leg. His leg was numb. And it was said to him, Udhkur ahabba nas ilayk. Mention the most beloved of the people to you. He said, Ya Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That's what he said. He said, Ya Muhammad, and his leg was free from the numbness instantly. Like when you release a camel and it just take off, freed, all the pain gone. Subhanallah. So as he called on Imam al-Haddad, who was a pious man, You saw Abdullah ibn Umar, he called on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. MashaAllah. Hold on, let me show you. So you don't just, you believe me. I'll show you. Hold on 1 second. Al-Adhkar. Where's your Adhkar? Mine is not here. Is your other card upstairs? All right, let me get it. 1 second. I gave it to you. I don't know where you put it. Maybe. Oh, here you go. Thank you for your patience. Reason why I do this, because some of us, we don't believe. You got to show. I don't know why it's like that, but we are like that. And I don't think it's a bad idea. Be teaching for years and they still don't believe you. So you got to show them. So, but that's a good thing. It helps us stay sharp. Okay, let me find it for you 1 second. Just be patient. 493. So here's the book there. All right. You see that? It's right there. I'm putting it in front of you. Right there. Right? Bab ma yakulu idha qadirat rijlu. Right? And here is the hadith there. It says, كنا عند ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما فقدرت رجله فقال له رجل. He said, we were with Ibn Umar and his foot became numb, right? His leg. And a man said to him, اذكر أحب الناس إليك. فقال يا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. And he said, oh Muhammad, right? فكأنما نشط من إقال. As if he was released. This is Al-Adhkar for Imam An-Nawawi. This was after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam An-Nawawi. And here you go. He called there. Let me move it. Sorry, it's difficult. Ya Muhammad. right there. Several, and then the other narration at the bottom there, he just said Muhammad. اذكر أحب الناس إليك قال محمد. See there? فقال محمد. And let me help you. I'm going to show you in the other book for you. Here's the link for those of you who don't have Adhkar. There's the link for it. You should have it, as they said. Bi'ad-dar washtari al-adhkar. Sell your house and buy the adhkar. This is the adhkar of Imam al-Nawawi in English, right? Here's the book. And it's on page let me just get the chapter real quick.
437.
It's on page 437 of this book?
Correct.
Okay. So mark it. So when they tell you shirk, 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 say, okay, was Imam al-Nawawi a mushrik for relating it? Was Bukhari a mushrik for relating it? Was Ibn Umar a mushrik for saying it? 430. What did you say?
437.
Yep, 437. There you go. Right there. There it is. We were with Abdullah ibn Umar, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. His leg became numb. A man said to him, remember the dearest of people to you. He said, oh Muhammad, it was as if he was set free from a cord that had bound his feet. And then you see in another one, we relate the same source from Mujahid, that a man's leg became numb in the presence of Ibn Abbas. And he said to him, Ibn Abbas said to that person, remember the beloved, the most beloved of all men to you? And he said, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So was Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, Mujahid, these are all Sahaba and Tabi'een, and Nawawi, Al-Bukhari, even Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned, all of them were mushrikun. They were idol worshippers. They worshiped the saints and grave worshippers. Yeah, Allah, help us. Yeah, Allah, help us. Yeah, Allah, help us. We're being hijacked, our deen. Don't say that. This is why I say it's all in the books. All we have to do is read. Oh, we're over time. Did we finish? Yes, let's stop there. I want to show you something. I'll give you an example. I saw this the other day. I won't go into the stories about this book, right? These people kill me, man. Right? So I'm reading this book, right? I got it the other day. I didn't know I had it already, but so I borrowed this from someone. No names need to be mentioned. So the book is called Shar Aqidatul Salaf, Ashab al Hadith, right? And they have Shaykh al Islam, Abi Uthman, Ismail ibn Abdul Rahman as Sabuni, right? And it was the explanation Shar Rabi' ibn Hadi Umair al Madkhali. That's one of the big leaders of the Salafi movement in Medina, in Mecca now, but in our time, and all of the people they follow him and followed him until he got rid of most of them. But nevertheless, so this is to show the Aqidah of the Salaf, right? Of the people of Hadith. This is their Aqidah, right? So I'm reading this book. It's an explanation. And the first 1, 2, 3 lines is a refutation of their whole belief. I'm going to read it. That he said, after he said, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the final outcome is for the pious. May the salutations be upon Prophet Muhammad SAW, his family, and his noble companions, as to what follows. I was passing through Tabaristan and the land of the city or country of Jilan, heading towards the sacred house of Allah and visiting the grave of his prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I said, these people cannot be, right? All right, here we go. I'm trying to adjust this. How do I do it? This way. To your right. Good. Right? And I'm going to move in. Right? First, I got to go up here. He said, Mutawajjihan ila Baytillah. I'm going towards the house of Allah. How does this work? Right? And visiting was ziyaratu qabri nabiyyihi, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at that. Visiting the grave of his prophet. That's what I'm going to do. Ain't that deep? And then he goes to say that's haram. But you telling me about Aqidah from this person, and the first thing you do in the first few lines, you correct his Aqidah. You can't make this stuff up. The first lines, you consider him having bad Aqidah. He should go visit the prophet, not his grave. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, that's blindness, right? You're quoting the creed from someone who before he started talking about the creed, he telling you he's going to visit the grave of the prophet. So I said, and then you come along and say, oh, we don't go visit graves. Why he not a grave worshiper? He explicitly said that's what he's going for. Why he not grave worshiper? Since is the Aqidah of the Salaf, don't he know Aqidah? Don't he know he should have said, or what he meant? What do you mean what he meant? The man is a scholar. You quoting him, he ain't quoting you. He said, I'm going to visit the sacred house and the grave of his prophet. He didn't say I was going to visit the mosque. He said, I'm going to visit the grave. You can't make this stuff up. So I'm supposed to ignore him and then take your ta'wil, the one who don't believe in ta'wil. Don't do no figurative interpretations. Don't interpret. Well, why are you interpreting his words? Why you didn't take that? Allah here, haqiqatan. I'm sorry. This is what it's like so stupid. He's the Salaf. You're quoting them. You tell us this is the Aqidah of the Salaf. He's going to tell you, I'm going to visit the grave, and you're going to interpret his words. And we're supposed to accept it based on you. Come on, stop. And now when we rigid, the Sahaba used to go to the grave. Those followers would go to the graves. You're in your books. I didn't publish this book. Y'all did. And you put it there. Then you make in your explanation that this is wrong. I didn't write the book. You did. I just read what it said. He said, I'm passing through these lands. I'm going to the sacred house, and I'm going to visit the grave of his prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what he said. Now you interpret it. Listen, man, the man said he's going to visit the grave. He's going to visit the grave. He don't know you shouldn't say don't go visit the grave. You should say go visit the messenger of Allah or go to the masjid. That's what you should say. He said he's going to visit the grave, bro. The man said it. That's me being sarcastic. Let me slow down. He didn't know that's haram. Only when you came, he didn't know. But you quoting him, and you saying this is the creed of the Salaf. Well, why are you going to interpret that part and not the other? He said he's going to visit the grave. What you want? Obviously, in his mind, it wasn't haram. It's in their books. I didn't make it. It's not my book. This is their sheikhs, their books. And at least they didn't do what they normally do, take the stuff out and act like it never was there. But they're so bold, and we so unintelligent, they just don't even gotta fix it no more. So we saw Ibn Umar and Nawawi calling on the Prophet after his death. To them, that's shirk. That's istighatha. By al-mayyit, by the dead one. He did it. This stuff is laughable, honestly. And if we were to go into the books of the scholars and see this is normal, but when they just give you a bunch of pamphlets, the Sufi Sage of Arabia, we should be having more soon. I have to get it. I've been so busy with my upcoming new family. I didn't have time to do any of this stuff. The Diwan is translated in English, not that I know of. I hope someone does it one day, but I don't know of it. No, as far as I know. Okay. Zakia, I didn't see your question. Let me look for it. I got to tag some of these questions. It's hard moving these books and trying to read upside down. I barely can see these days. Maybe I need to call on Imam Haddad and read those lines from the Diwan to get my sight back together. MashaAllah. Allahu Akbar. See, we all learn. All right, I'm just getting some of your questions. Okay, is this it? So at the risk of sounding out of step, out of line, now you're never out of line, just ask. I'm cool with it. However you want to put it. For those of us who have been pleading our case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly, we should now utilize a petition, someone in between. I mean, you can go ask Allah. Me, I always ask by the status of the pious. That's me. I believe it's a faster way. Because sometimes you pleading and you sinful. Your food haram, your clothes is haram, you doing a bunch of haram. Oh, Allah help me. Okay, good luck, as they say. And there's not necessarily luck, but you got the figurative interpret. Since we figurative interpreting, you know what I mean, right? I highly wouldn't rely on that, and you know your state. Now I know my state. So I ask, by the status of the prophet, by the status of the pious, Ya Allah, I know I'm a mess. That's me. And that's what my teachers do. But if you feel as though you lack that, go for it. May Allah make you successful. For me and for my teachers, we always ask by the status of the pious, of the Prophet, the awliya. And maybe that's why we get what we get. We know our states. Is there a religious precedence in it? Yes. In that, Ibn Umar could have said, oh Allah, remove my numbness. He said, Ya Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And instantly it worked. He could have just said, oh Allah, right? And Allah is more beloved to him than Prophet. He didn't have to ask for about people. And Ibn Abbas said, Udhkur ahabba nas ilayk. Mention the most beloved of people. Ibn Abbas is Turjuman al-Quran. He's the one who interpreted the Quran. He didn't know to say, just ask Allah. There is narrations where he said, ask Allah. Why he didn't tell that man, just ask Allah? They must have knew something we don't know. He could have just said, ask Allah. He could have. Okay. Let me move down if I had any other questions. I'm telling you something. And we had this discussion yesterday after Jumu'ah. Stop letting people push you around who really don't got a lot of knowledge. Right? They make an environment that people are scared because you don't know. I don't want to commit shirk. There's no shirk in it. Go learn your religion. Right? Because what they say don't mean anything. It's clear in our religion. When you learn your religion, that stuff don't even make. In fact, the religious texts and the actions of the Salaf contradict everything they're talking about. That's why you notice they never quoting the Salaf. They're always quoting some people in our time or a little bit before us. They ain't talking about the Salaf. There's someone else making interpretations of the words of the Salaf and hiding most of the stuff the Salaf said. You say, go to the works of the Salaf. Go to the works of the real scholars. Skip Ibn Taymiyyah, skip Ibn Al-Qayyim, skip Bin Baz, skip Ibn Uthaymeen, skip Muqbil, skip Al-Albani, and now show me what you got. All right, listen. No quoting, no Ibn Taymiyyah, no Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, no Bin Baz, no Ibn Uthaymeen, no Fawzan, no Al-Albani, and none of their students. Go back and show me those statements prior to Ibn Taymiyyah. And show me, so that's the 8th century, show me where the majority of scholars in this nation did opposite what I'm saying and said what you're saying. You will not find it. That's why they only quote them, because they're the ones that came up with that stuff. And your books is, he said grave, all right? Besides you, show me someone else who interpret that he didn't mean grave, he meant going to the masjid. This is the creed, right? Ashab al-Hadith. There are a bunch of people from them to you. You're talking about 1,300 years, besides those ones you mentioned, to say what he said. There's enough books. You don't got, go to books. We got chains of narration. It shouldn't be that difficult. Do you understand my point? Stuff don't make no sense. And I know Many Sunnis know it don't make no sense, but a lot of times we don't want no smoke. And I got that. I got that. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no trouble. And I understand that. But we still have to tell the truth. We still have to preserve our religion, right? Even if we don't want no, I don't want no smoke either. But we got to preserve our religion. We can't just let nobody, because if it was our own stuff, we wouldn't stand. If it was our credit cards and our ID and our bank account, we wouldn't stand for somebody playing with it. We would speak up. We would file all kinds of charges. But when it's our religion, we quiet. So maybe ourselves are more important to us than our religion. Okay, all right. I don't want to read it. If you need to go, thank you for your help and support. I'm just going to answer a few of these questions. Let me mark them. I saw the questions. Hold up one second. I'm just trying to mark before y'all keep going. Nah, I don't want no smoke. All right, let me explain it to you, Niall. You ready? I just want to mess with Niall for a minute. I love this guy. Hey, Niall, I don't want no smoke. I don't want any trouble. But I'm not going to run from it for the sake of the religion. I don't want any trouble. But I won't run for the sake of the religion. But if it was up to me, I'd just duck wreck. But for the religion, no. It's more important. All right. There was your 2 minutes of fame, or 1 minute, or whatever. All right, let me take these questions. All right, this is the first one I got. It's understood by those who know. That's not a question, that's a statement. Okay. Understood. The help is from one more pious than he, and the prayer may be answered better from them. Right. You ask Allah by his beloved ones, and maybe Allah will accept. Allah is kind and generous. What makes a distinction on calling out for the awliya and just calling on regular people? Like, for instance, if someone was if someone was coming from Catholic, calling on the Christian saints. And the third part question is, we can only call on the known awliya. So this dismiss the fact that anyone can be called on, especially for people who come from shirk background, like worshiping to the ancestors, like a person of Ifa background. Listen, that's a long question, and I got the summary of it. We're not Christians. We don't worship anyone other than Allah. So when the Christian calls on the saint, they believe the saint has individual power outside of God. That is kufr and shirk. The only one who can harm, the only one can benefit is Allahu Tabarak wa Ta'ala. That's the distinct difference between an idol worshiper and a person of Tawheed. Do you follow? So there is no connection between the belief of a Christian in their saints and the conviction of the Muslim in the awliya by the permission of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. It's two distinctly different things. We don't call on no wali with the intention of worshiping them. That's kufr. Or believing that they harm or benefit independently of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. That's kufr. We don't believe that. What we do believe is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers by the status of those pious people because he loves them. And their piety, like good deeds, like other matters, they are means. They're not the one who creates anything. So if you understand that, that's a distinct difference. No resemblance to Christianity at all. Oh, I answered it. That's the same question. Same thing. We are nothing like Christians. So that's the same thing. Christians believe Jesus is God. Muslims don't believe a wali is God. Not even the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's a distinct difference if you understand that. No, there's no sin. There's no sin. If you just call on Allah, you just call on Allah. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not obligatory to do that. Here's what I fear. That you don't do it yourself. And the reason you don't do it, because you believe it's haram or it's shirk. And what that also may entail, that you consider all of our Muslims as mushrikun, like the Wahhabiyya did. So whoever does it, because you have a weak conviction, you say, I'm only going to call on Allah, but inside you believe that that's kufr, and what you do is extend that to the other Muslims. That's the danger in such. But if that's not the case, then okay. Right. Is what you intend and what you believe more than even intention. No, our du'as are not always answered. Sometimes your dua is rejected because of your sinfulness, because of your food. Sometimes your dua is not answered. Sometimes your dua is not answered. Yeah. This is Wahhabi stuff. And that's the problem. Remember, I said to you, the default position of many people is Wahhabi, even if they Sunni. Because in this country, the Wahhabis have dominated it so much that stuff that's regular Sunni Islam seems like bid'ah and shirk. They push that so much, so that the common person is scared to death to be a Sunni. Scared to death. So someone's a Sunni, but let me act like a Wahhabi. And whatever I have to do to be safe, let me do it. And we have to remove that fear. There's nothing to be fear about. If you don't want to do it, just don't do it. But don't do it because you're scared to death of being called an innovator or a grave worshiper or a worshiping saints. It's nonsense. Do you understand my point? If you yourself just, I want to call on Allah, okay, go do that, no problem. But when you have the reason you're doing that is because of that default setting that's in your environment, then you need to learn and overcome that, because that issue is preventing you from higher ranks. That's why people are scared to say I'm Sufi. You hear somebody some tazkiyah. Come on out. Would you knock it off? Tazkiyah. Tasawwuf. Only reason you scared to say tasawwuf, because those people have made it a taboo saying. Don't say that word. You're going to get refuted. They're going to put you off the manhaj. What manhaj? Education is important. And don't listen, you don't have to know. You have to learn. We don't know everything. That's why we have books. That's why we have scholars. That's why we research. That's why we have chains of narration. And then once you learn, you're confident. You're like, oh, this is normal. You abnormal. You strange. This is normal Sunni Islam globally and historically for 1400 years. What are you talking about? I hope you get my point. All right, let me make sure I'm done. I'm trying to. Ah, Allahu Akbar. And listen, I want to be honest with you. I'm just looking for if there's right. This stuff, and here's my point. This is not, listen, this is normal stuff. This is not strange. I'm scrolling and reading all these questions. So uh y'all rolling here. Oh, all right. Let me finish since I don't see any questions. If there's another question I missed, you got to put it back up because I missed it. Um, Here's my point, and I just want to be clear, and so you understand me. For us, enough honesty ain't being given to us, right? Listen, we all don't know. None of us. Not even the ones who studied overseas. We don't know. We're still learning. All of us are in a learning process. Some learn more than others. We, all of us, are in a learning. This is all new to us. We still trying to figure it out. Please listen to me. Just be patient, right? Please just be patient for a minute. And be honest. Let's be honest. We don't know this religion well. That's true. We're learning. All of us. You know why we don't know this religion well? Because people been hoodwinking us, running game on us for their objectives. Has nothing to do with us. That's real. That's why we don't know. Not because we ignorant. They didn't want us to know. So they can use us to do what they want to do. Spread their message, do their political aims, worship, quote unquote, not for real, in manner. They're sheikhs. You got a bunch of dudes in. Let me share something. And I was thinking about this last night. You got a bunch of black dudes that'll kill me and you. That go over to Saudi Arabia, sit in front of a man who the Saudis don't even pay no attention and call him daddy. Al-Walid, our father. Waliduna, Waliduna, our father. But you kill me. You hurt me. or any other brother. You go to the Saudi dude, put your head down, who the Saudis don't even look at him like that, and you talk about some daddy. And then bring that back to the neighborhood and wreck our communities with it. That's insanity. But that's us. We've been looking for a daddy for a long time. And that's not just for those people. We go to other countries and daddy. No men, daddy. Everybody my daddy. Except my daddy. Everybody's my daddy except my real daddy. We jacked up in that area. I'm just seriously, it's sad. And if we had a real talk without you bowing your head to a daddy who ain't really your daddy, you would understand exactly what I'm saying. If you just like, let's get behind the scenes. Let's go back to the hood. Let's go back to the projects. We on a block. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't do that stuff, right? I can respect you without like being your slave. I can still respect you without being your slave. I'm gonna show you how bad it get. Now, listen to this. I'm gonna show you how bad I'm talking about us, forget anybody else. I'm talking about us as a people. One of our elders, 70 or over, he tell the young brothers that the sheikh don't know everything that's going on here. They want to refute him because he said the sheikh don't know everything. That doesn't make no sense. Of course he don't know everything. He's putting down the sheikh. Huh? Nobody knows everything except Allah. But we so jacked up. He putting down the sheikh. The sheikh don't know everything. And we got people, Sufi people who say that. Sheikh don't know what y'all dudes. I know for sure the sheikh don't know. I know if he knew what you doing, he would censor you. He don't know. Right? That's not putting him down. That's true. Only Allah knows everything. But we so jacked up. We actually don't. We know that, but we so daddying that we don't even think no more. I'm serious. It's like, this ain't about nobody else. A lot of this is about us. Seriously. Forget the Saudis or the Lebanese or the Yemenis. Nah, this is about black folk. We got to get ourselves together. You seriously, I spent the last 2 days listening to our people on the other side of the aisle. Even last night, I fell asleep listening to them. I'm like, come on, you guys, man. Y'all dudes is from the hood. Y'all can't be serious. But guess what? A lot of these dudes, they weren't like that. They wasn't really in the streets. They was college boys and good dudes. And that's a good thing. So that's why they like that. They've been programmed because when they was in college, Uncle Sam and Mr. Charlie was their boss. And now they just switched for an Arab boss. That's what we do. And that ain't got nothing to do with racism. That's a problem of inferiority complex. We have to fix that. That don't got nothing to do with the religion. They don't have anything to do with none of that stuff. We got to get out of this inferiority complex that it's impossible that a black man would know anything. We cannot lead. That's our problem. And we cover it with Salafi, Wahhabi, Sunni, Sufi. Nah, you got an inferiority complex, bro. That's what the problem is. It ain't got nothing to do with all that other stuff. And you use Islam to avoid the reality. You still got a slave mentality. And that's what you got to fix. And once you fix that and you become a man and a thinking man, a critically thinking man, the rest of this stuff is easy. I got a message the other day from a Palestinian brother. I want to share this thing with you. Not the message, the point. He was thanking me for the work we're doing. And then he was advising me about something he thought. He said, but it's your platform. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I said, that don't even need to be said to myself. When I heard that, I was saying, that don't even need to be said. You can't tell me what to do. And I'm not being arrogant. You can't. You're right. It's my platform. And I'm going to do what I think is right. You can't tell me what to do. That ain't even a discussion. You could advise me. Yes. And if I see your advice as beneficial, I'm going to follow it. But you ain't running nothing. That don't even got to be said. So you don't need to say, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You can't. Do you understand my point? I'm a man. You can't tell me what to do. If I think what you're saying is beneficial, I'm going to follow. But you can't tell me what to do. Now stop. Let's move this to another thing. If it was a black man saying the same thing, you gonna tell him you can't tell me what to do. Who you talking to? If it was one of us to each other. But to the other, boss is talking. Nah, he's a man just like me. No, you can't tell me what to do. But if not saying if it's right, I'm gonna follow you because it's right, not because you telling me what to do. Do y'all understand my point? If it's right, I have to follow you. I have to listen to you. But I'm gonna use my intellect to understand if that's right or wrong. Not just because you said it. You the boss. No, you ain't my boss. And it ain't personal. And if you take it personal, that's the problem. You actually think you my boss. You tripping. And I'm gonna have to correct you. No, you're not my boss. No. Everyone's word can be accepted and rejected, except the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, he's the boss. Allah made him the boss. What he say, that's it. I can't object. I can't even have an opinion. The Prophet said it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As he meant it and intended it, I have to follow. I hear and I obey. You? No, you're not the Prophet. So if you're right and in agreement with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I have to follow you. Not because of you, because you're a good brother or a good sister who's following Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who we are obligated to follow. That's it. That's not arrogance. That's real. That applies for me. That applies for you. Do y'all follow what I'm saying? Am I clear? We're men and women. And it's important that we assert our manhood and our womanhood in the face of someone trying to make us little boys and little girls. We can't afford, we got children and grandchildren. We can't keep bowing down and putting our heads down to people who don't deserve that. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. We ain't doing that. I had calls like that. Let me put him in his place. Joker, are you kidding? You saying that under the guise of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because if it was ever there, you can't tell me nothing. So don't try to use like you gangster under the religion. Don't do that. We from the hood. We'll forget about that. Don't do that. Stop. No. And one of my elders, the sheikh was trying to do that on him. And he said, he denied it, but we believe he said it. The sheikh can get some hickeys, he keep that up. And he wasn't talking about religion, because what the sheikh was doing ain't religion. You're trying to be my daddy. You're not my daddy. Stop that. That was his point. He wasn't really, I want to beat the sheikh up. He's like, you're not going to disrespect me. I'm a man. And I have a whole community of men, women, children, grandchildren, and you ain't running nothing. That's the point he was making. And just as you better do this, that has nothing to do with religious stuff, not based on Quran and Sunnah. Oh, whoa, stop. Slow your roll. We ain't doing that. That's just a man. That's how I grew up. My father ain't let nobody. I remember a man, he was a gangster dude. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but this is all important. I remember this guy, he was in my project. He was older. He's a grown man. I was a kid. He was a gangster in the city. He broke in my house and stole my mom's pocketbook, climbed through the window and stole her pocketbook. My father got home. My father was a working dude, but he was a man, he was a little tough guy too, but he had a job. He wasn't in the streets, working, taking care of his 5 kids. My father came home, my mom was crying. What happened? So-and-so stole my pocketbook. My father went out the back door, went down in the projects, knocked on that dude's door, grabbed him out the house, and beat the lights out of him in front of everybody. Beat the brakes off this dude. I was a little shorty, a little kid, in the middle of the projects, right where we all play. Beat the brakes off this dude. You ever disrespect my wife in my house again, I'll finish you. He's a man. He's a man. He beat the brakes off this dude. And everybody in my project will remember that. Man, your dad was, man, he was vicious. Beat the brakes off of him. You don't do that. I don't care who you are in the streets. You don't disrespect my home. This men, and maybe dude would have got his homies or whatever. My dad didn't care nothing about none of that. You disrespect my home, I'm going to handle you. That's a spirit black men should have. You don't got to be the toughest guy in the world. You got to have some principles, right? You got to have some principles. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm just talking about manhood, womanhood, being people of principle. Being a person of principle. That's it. Stand on your principles. Just make sure your principles are right. Don't go do no wrong stuff. But if you're correct and are correct is following the Prophet ﷺ. If you correct, stand on it. But when you're wrong, don't stand on wrong. You're wrong. Correct yourself. You're wrong because you're not standing on what the Prophet ﷺ said. If there's an understanding, you got to work out, learn, and understand. But once you are on truth, stand up, no matter what's the cause. And we as a people have to learn to do that. Stop being afraid of your own shadow. Y'all got my point? That's all my point is. You got my point? Am I clear? Because I know internet, people will take it all. He said disrespect sheikhs. He said put hickeys on. I ain't saying none of that. What I'm telling you is be a man and a woman. A proud man and woman with clear, defined principles that you follow and stand upon, that are guided by following and emulating the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Listen, you ain't running nothing. Because your children won't respect you, you keep that up. That's why our children are going somewhere else and following rappers and not following imams and sheikhs of the black community because they bowing down to others. This is a big problem. And others, they don't live with us. They don't care anyway, so it don't make a difference. I might love you as my Muslim brother, but I'm not interfering in your affairs. I'm only going to dictate so you can do what I need to do. You need to do that. You got to fix that up. That's your problem. That's all I'm saying. I stand on that. And that doesn't mean I want some smoke. But it does mean I'm definitely not running from no smoke if it's for the truth. I'm going to stand on the truth as I know it. And as I discover something else, because I'm a researcher, I'm listening, I'm reading, and I'm going to research. I got books that I couldn't read. If I had 2 lifetimes, I couldn't read them all. I'm always researching. I'm always looking because it ain't just about me. I got people I'm trying to help, my family, my community, my friends, and then extend it further. We have to learn. So listen, it's not no arrogance. If you have a truth, show me. I'll read it. I'll investigate it. I'll do it. And what I don't know, I'll ask. I have people to ask, plenty. I'm not like I'm not lost on resources. I got plenty of resources. Whatever I don't understand, whatever I can't make out, I have multiple people to ask that are far more knowledgeable than me. No problem. That's a blessing. Allah helped us, right? No problem. I don't understand. Let's go back and look at this another way. Let's do some more research. I'm not lazy. I'm not afraid to research. Let's look at the sources. You see when I show you books? When I show you books, I'm trying to teach you something. Every time you see me put a book up, I'm trying to show you something. I'm trying to instill in you this involves research. I'm not just a parrot. I'm not a robot. I'm a thinking, living, breathing human being. And Allah gave us minds and eyes and ears and hands and feet so we can learn, and hearts so we can get closer to Him. It's a purpose. It's not for vain. That's how it goes. Some going to love it, some going to hate it. That's the world we live in. May Allah reward y'all. Sorry for going 40 something minutes over the time, but I think it's important. I think it's important. I think that extra 50 minutes could save us a lifetime of stress if we listen. May Allah make it easy. Barakallahu bikum. Inshallah, today is Saturday. We off. We'll see you tomorrow. Unless we come up with something at night and we can just join with you. That always happens. Listen, just for that point, sometimes I do spontaneous stuff. So set your settings, what they call that, notifications, because sometimes I may be having a conversation with somebody and it may be something beneficial, and I'll be like, come on, let's go. And we'll just go live. So that happens. Everything's not planned. The regular stuff we do is planned, but if I get a teacher that want to come on, or I get some beneficial point that I think will help us, I just bring it on and just do it, right? So, you know, just keep your notifications. Listen, in these conversations, I'm not afraid to have a conversation with nobody. I'm not. Because even ones who disagree with me, we're going to learn something. We're going to benefit. We may even disagree, but we're going to benefit. This brother's been really on this. Hey, why here? We having problems communicating. I don't know what's the problem. The phone, inshallah, Allah will make it work. But in order for us to do business, we got to get together first. Like, it's hard for us to do business when we don't trust each other, and we still don't trust each other. Don't, we're in the process of learning to trust one another. When you talk about money, it's very difficult for us to put our money together. It may be a few individuals and we need to identify them, but we have to learn to trust one another first. Inshallah, we're building that. So be patient. The more we trust each other, we'll do business. We'll do stuff. But we got to trust each other first. And then we got to find a leader that we trust. Most of us don't trust each other or a leader. That's why we don't have any. right? So it's a progress. They did a number on us. Right? So be patient, inshallah. All right. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah reward you all. May Allah increase you. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.